Hey Shona, how you going?
Really, really well. How good is it that we're doing another batch of this? So I don't think we're going to stop, are we?
Nah, let's just keep doing it. We haven't done one for a couple of weeks, so I'm yeah, I think so. And look, I just think the general conversations I was having with a lot of clients that I did know and I didn't know, that they got a fair bit out of them. So I guess that's encouraging that we're providing some knowledge to our people out there in St. Asia. So it's good.
Well, it's cool that we're doing it for them, like we're doing our research as well, and that people are just busy. They're crazy busy. So, we get information and we can pass it on just in a really quick half an hour session. So I reckon it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are getting used to taking part in these Zooms a lot more.
Yeah.
And they're, it's a new way of life, isn't it? Where we're finding the time to communicate. You even watch the news, and it's a lot of the interviews are done this way. It's amazing how life's changed so dramatically in the last 5 months. So
yeah, it's really interesting. And I know even people are not even going to go back to office work anymore. They're working from home.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people. They've made arrangements now, even if they can, that they're able to work from home. So yeah, the dynamics have changed massively and amazing. I love it.
Even with even with a lot of travel, there's a lot of people here locally that would travel to Melbourne for a meeting or a couple of meetings, for the day. And it's amazing how a lot of those people that I speak to in the corporate world are going, you know what, we don't need to do that. We have the ability to, do Zooms, and, rather than catch a plane every day or once a week, we can actually simply do, come down to, talk to our counterparts in Melbourne without actually having to go to the expense of jumping on a plane and time away from family. It's changing a lot.
Exactly. It's great. And people are seeing that it actually does work because they're fearing it didn't. What's happening with your phone?
I don't know. I'm trying to stop it from falling over.
We keep losing you. Like you're slipping
2 seconds. Yeah, I'm going down. Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right.
So it'll probably fall forward in a minute. I've got it sitting in blue tack. It's a really high-end situation here. So
we need to set up. Cool. All right. So tell us what's happening in St. Asia. What's happening with the market at the moment?
Yeah. Well, look, at the moment we're really busy. It's super hard to believe where we are now compared to where we were back in sort of April. And to think that, I'm still working out of home, spending a lot less time here than what we were probably through the full lockdown naturally. But the numbers that we're doing work-wise, the people that we're seeing, the buyers that are out there, I just didn't personally think it had come back this quick. So, but I guess, from a local point of view, things are really busy, like just a few examples. I saw probably 55 to 60 groups of buyers at about 5 opens on the weekend.
Wow.
So again, a couple of new listings, that just responded really well. Just a little one out at Cardross, 22 groups of buyers. It's a lot of people there, and a lot of confidence in the market, a lot of new buyers coming to the market. And it's hard to know what to put it down to, but speaking to a coach of mine that I've been speaking to for the last probably 3 or 4 months, I asked him, is it just regional areas? Is it city areas? Is it New Zealand? Is it Australia? Are we in our own little bubble here? I think it's, at the moment, it's everywhere, and I guess we can only put it down to the job keeper, job seeker, because people are stopping traveling, and there's a lot more money in people's pockets at the moment. So and speaking to a lot of people that went through a process through lockdown and went, you know what, this house doesn't suit us anymore, or we don't need this backyard, or we need more yard for the kids. There was so many different people you talk to that give you a different reason of why they're in the market. So yeah, look, banks are a bit slow at the moment, granted, but really we're doing lots of deals, and we're still seeing some extremely good prices, which is great.
That's fantastic. And I think everyone's realizing now that this is a long-term thing now. So they're really thinking of property and where they're spending their money. And are you seeing this panic selling or that's not a thing now? Not at all?
No. You know, like it crossed your mind a few months ago that potentially people might need to sell to survive. Haven't seen any of that. There was a few opportunists with buyers early on trying, putting low offers in, not local buyers. It tended to be out of town buyers, thinking that they could capitalize on the fact that, buyers would need to sell, where it hasn't been the case. The thing I love about real estate is that we can achieve really great results through, following a real simple, but you've got to follow a correct path into when you're going to market. There's tons of little ideas that we've discussed over the time that I implement with my sellers, and if you follow that process and you do it right, you'll get a good result. The properties that were on the market prior to COVID have sold post-COVID for, if not the same, but more than what we're talking back in sort of February, March. So yeah, and that tells me that that there's a lot of confidence here, and we are as much as we're having issues with the bridge in New South Wales and all that sort of stuff at the moment. We've got a lot of security in our own little economy here, which is positive.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great little economy, and not just the economy, it's how everyone's feeling. We've got a lot of positive attitudes. Like it's a beautiful community. The way we're just moving forward, regardless. We're not letting this thing stifle us. So it's really cool. Yeah. So I think have you seen a surge? Obviously, before Melbourne was in lockdown, but have you seen a surge in people coming from out of town into Mildura?
Yep. Yeah. And look, even on the weekend, met a couple of people, and they're like, "Oh, we just decided to escape to Mildura for the weekend." It's like, "Oh, you shouldn't have."
Exactly.
But it's a really tricky one. I think it'd be hard. It's hard to see people coming into our region at the moment because you just don't know. You can see what's happened in New South Wales. The travellers they've escaped Melbourne and then they've taken it with them, and I really pray that we don't get it here for every reason, including health and our economy, etc. So I think it's a scary situation, and you don't want to discourage the Melbourne people from coming up here, but I think for a while they can probably steer clear. I think that's the common thread. We've got a lot of local businesses that rely on that, but but look, as a whole, yes, a lot of investors, a lot of people. I met a guy on the weekend that he's going to treat this area as his second home to Melbourne. So people do want to change. People love Mildura, and that's the thing. They come here and they often say, we've always travelled here as a family, or we've always come up here over the years, and we just always thought it might be a good place to retire. It might be a good place to settle down or bring the kids. So there's no question we get a lot of that. But I think people like the fresh air, and they like the economy up here, and they like what they get for their money in particular.
The cost of living is amazing. Yeah.
What they get for 700 up here is a hell of a lot better than what they get for 700 down there.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
So, but look, some recent statistics it indicates to me that we obviously track our median prices here up in Mildura area as a whole. They usually track units and houses separately, and both of those are showing growth over from March to now. From March 2020 to July 2020. It's only a small increase in units, $2,500, but it's an increase, and $5,000 for general houses. So it sort of proves that we still are on that upward trend, which is very positive, because it was a fear of mine that we'd go back the other way.
Yeah, well, that's right. And there is that scarcity, I guess, when there is some reports coming out and, with media that's, that there's things are going to be drastically negative for all of us. But you just got to do your research, don't you? Is there any resources for anyone that wants to look at regional versus this capital city information or the reporting that we get to get that accurate sort of feel of what's happening?
Yeah, I guess a lot of those the main portals, realestate.com and domain.com, provide really good information. We get a lot of our information through the Ray White network. I think it's just tricky at the moment because you've also got the stimulus package that was released by the government, as we've spoken about, probably 6 or 8 weeks ago. What that's done is created a frenzy of land buying. And, I had 2 subdivisions previously with titles available. Most people know by now that the land has to be built on, but basically late this year or early next year at a minimum. So your land needs to be ready to be built on. And I think I've sold probably 15 to 20 blocks of land in the past 6 weeks. It's gone. Everything is gone. I've got 1 block of land that I sold, but then it's just come back on the market, but it'll be snapped up in a matter of time. And that's just over in Golgo if I can get over there. But the land there is nothing left. And it's going to be amazing for the trade industry, for builders and all those guys over the next year or two. They're going to have work lined up. And I think if they're going well, then the economy here locally is going well. They're just as important as, table grape growers and citrus growers. So
absolutely.
So we've I don't know whether that sort of creates a bit of a false economy a little bit because of that. But what it's done is if there was any blocks of land out there that were available, they're gone. You've got a lot of new people coming into purchasing real estate. So it's very, very busy. But as far as, general, I think most people, if it's given them the idea to get into something, they know that they've missed that boat with land, and they're going, oh, well, we'll just look at another option. People are saving money. They're using their money. They're thinking about the next step more so now than ever. Rather than people, my thing is I think people were just probably in a rut. They were just working. It was just day to day. And now it's opened everyone's eyes, and I think most people are now looking at, setting themselves up in some capacity if they can, and that's definitely what I'm hearing in the market. Yeah,
it's definitely some positive things happening. Come out of this for sure. So, what else? What else do we need to talk about? So, with the stimulus and stuff, has there been any updates with that?
Not really. I think it'll be interesting to see how many blocks, concrete slabs will be laying around. I wonder how the building industry will keep up. Sorry, you're talking about JobKeeper or the building one?
The building one.
Yeah. So, whether could it get extended? I think they'd actually have to, if they're going to extend it, they'd actually have to allow the builders to catch up first, because I think that's just what's going to happen. Ultimately, they're going to be busy for quite some time, and I've got another subdivision, as I've mentioned. That's going. For anyone that didn't want titles, I've sold half of that first stage already. So there's just really good signs all around. We just hope we can keep that up.
This is really good. It's really, really fascinating. What about renovating to sell, presenting their properties to sell? That's still going. I've been busier than ever. You're just as busy, and that hasn't stopped at all. I think people have got more time to actually DIY and get in there, put their sleeves up and get their properties ready. I think it's probably been not stable. I think it's grown a little bit.
Yeah, I think that people are have more time. Even this, from a personal point of view, our kids are pretty much back into sport as about now, and it's like, oh my God, we're going to pick Gus up, and then we're going to pick Harper up, and it's just we're back to that. I've got to look at the clock all the time to work out, okay, if I book that appointment, am I going to be able to get him from footy training, or be able to, we've got kids here, there and everywhere back to where we all almost were. But, there was so much time in that period of time, downtime, and people are now working from home, that they're looking around their house and they're going, well, let's do some stuff, whether they're looking to sell or just improve their home. We're putting some blinds downstairs here at the house, and spoke to Darren from Fashion Window Blinds, and he reckons that hasn't been busier. And from that, well, we're going to do this. We had a holiday plan. We can't do that. Let's put it into this. And he's hearing that. He's hearing that a lot. And it's carpets, it's painting and blinds. And I think people are now putting pride into their homes, whether they're going to stay there or not. Or they're getting it ready to sell. But no, definitely, I think most people that I speak to, and if I believe that they are a candidate style, or should do it, or they're very open to it. They know how it works now. They've heard about it, whether it's through us or seen it through a neighbour's house selling. It's to me, it's a conversation I don't have to elaborate and go into detail, because they're probably already thinking about it, which is great.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. I think everyone's they can see the results. The results have been amazing. And we're probably going to talk about that a bit next week when we talk about the fundamentals and the strategies and creating a blueprint, setting your house up for sale, and the outcomes that we get. We can elaborate on some of the cases that we do. Like those ones, the last couple, for like a week, one open. That's it. It's nuts in a time where everyone thought it was going to be such a negative, bad thing.
I think the best one, we've got lots of good stories, but a recent one that we've got is the one that was with another agent for 6 months. The vendor was trying to achieve 370. It wasn't presented well. When I first walked in, it simply just wasn't clean. It wasn't clean. It was untidy. It was empty. It didn't feel good. It was an unusual floor plan. So even I was a little bit bemused about potentially where you'd put things. And if you're walking a little bit confused, then that's what your buyers are doing. Simply it was a matter of, and this owner's in Melbourne, so he doesn't really know the local market, and it was a conversation to try and encourage him to employ yourself to come through and do your thing. And it's going to be obviously a quick sale. It was sold. I had an offer handed to me at the very, very first open, which then from the Saturday, it was closed on the Monday, and we sold it for 385. Now, it's cost him probably $3,000, and he was trying to achieve 370 for 6 months, and to get that result so quick is testament to absolutely everything that I encourage my vendors to do, to get yourself in, to really create an idea for how it could be to live in. And that's because I know you had your ideas to start with, and I was a little bit like, where would you put that? But it was through your styling that really this house just didn't it? It popped. It looked amazing. So it's a simple result. It's a simple story of just a six months trying to flog this house, not presented well. Your buyers aren't going to be impressed. And I think we attracted about 20 groups of buyers in that first week, which pretty difficult to do when it's been on the market for so long already. So
absolutely. And it's not, and Mark, as you know, it's not just throwing pretty cushions on a bed. It's very strategy based, where it's placement of where the furniture goes to make it not look like there's more room, to show how much room there actually is. And that's what we're creating a feel with how it feels, but it's also showing that some people can't see that they can't fit a lounge, or they can fit a lounge room into a small space. Even I sometimes go into a house and go, my couches aren't going to fit in there, I don't think. But once we put them in there, I've got to measure them up and do my homework. But once we get them in there, it just shows you how much spaces there is. So it's people need to see how the value in the home. So that's what we do.
100%. And that's just it simply just wasn't never going to sell the way it was. It just wasn't. And it was 6 months. you know, and he was getting very frustrated, the vendor, that he wasn't getting a result.
Yeah.
You know, but even for the agent that was trying to sell it, it's pretty hard to sell something like that, you know. But you know, I guess it was just a matter of, you know, starting again, a fresh approach, get a cleaner through, get a gardener through, do the things that needed to be done. So when the buyer walked in, he simply just said, I want to buy this, you know. So mate, there's the offer form, hand it in, you know, and he did. He filled it out there and then, and we negotiated a bit further, and we got that result that he'd been yearning for 6 months. So actually more than what he wanted. It was 15 grand more than what he wanted. So the return on investment for what we did was, you know, 500%, really, wasn't it? So pretty happy.
That's awesome. That's really good. So that's a really good indication that what we're speaking about with COVID-19 and the impacts is that there's people out there ready to go, ready to buy homes.
Absolutely. There's lots of buyers that, you know, ready to buy. And, you know, we're seeing strong, I'm sure we all are, every agent in St. Asia is seeing strong numbers at open. So it's positive times. You just got to make it rain whilst it's, you know, it's happening. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And that probably leads into, you know, the potential of JobKeeper and JobSeeker. And obviously there's a bit of nervousness in the market about what happens when will that slow the economy up? You know, we won't know. We won't know until it happens. And, you know, if there are vendors out there considering selling, we're trying to have that discussion about bringing it on sooner rather than later, just in case there is a bit of a slowdown. But, you know, we thought the market was going to die 3 or 4 months ago, and look where we are now. So
that's right.
we are safer here in regional Victoria or regional Australia compared to our city agents. So, you know, we are, you know, less volatile. We don't tend to have those high value jumps, but we're very consistent with that steady increase, which is positive.
That's cool. We're a little bit in front. There is a question here, Mark, and you probably sort of half answered that. So if we're considering selling, do you think we need to move on it before things possibly change down the track?
Look, that's the conversation I'm having with my vendors. If you're, you know, you don't have a reason why you wouldn't sell now rather than wait for 3 or 4 months, even 2 months, you know, it might be a decision that, you know, is good for you, because I think that they're talking now, they're going to phase out the JobKeeper or the stimulus money, you know, which I think makes sense. But, you know, once that slows down, naturally there's less money getting spent in the economy, and it'll affect, you know, everyone, less money in pockets, less buyers. So it might take part of the market away. Again, it's not a fear factor thing. It's just the conversations that we're having in the industry. I'm having with financial planners, you know, and trying to work out what's going to happen. So much has happened this year. Like, you think about the bushfires in January seemed like 15 years ago. Like, it's just been such a crazy year. But if you're contemplating getting on the market, you know, you might find that your results, what we're seeing at the moment, could be in front of where it could be in a few months. That's probably where our thoughts are lying.
Yeah, I think it's worth giving you a call and having the conversation, because it's house by house case, you know, where things are sitting. Everyone's different, and, you know, where they are financially as well. So definitely worth just.
We're at that time of the year where everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to wait until the garden's looking great.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when that happens, and then we'll put it on the market, then suddenly you have this massive influx there's a lot of people that have that thought process, because everyone believes that the best time to sell is sort of September, October, which, you know, for a lot of properties, definitely. But at the end of the day, you're then putting your house on the market alongside of a lot of other properties. And because we don't have a lot of listings coming on the market, we have a high level of buyers. There's less for them to choose from. So coming down to the fact that, well, we have to buy this one because there's nothing else on the market. Whereas, you know, in that time, in a few months, you're going to have a fair bit to choose from, which is seen every year. There's always a massive influx sort of in September. So If you don't think your property is a spring, October property, that the garden might make a bit of a difference, but not a hell of a lot, bring it on now. That's what I'm saying.
Good idea. Good advice. Yeah.
Not just for what is happening in the economy, but generally because spring's the time. So
yeah, you've got competition.
Probably a good time for a buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Excellent. Is there anything else you got to add today?
No, I don't think so.
No, we covered it. All right, so next week we're going to be talking about the fundamentals and the strategies of getting your house. It's almost like a blueprint. We're going to, from the get-go, from listing, having the conversation all the way through to open day. So we're going to be talking about that, which will be really valuable information for people wanting to go now. And so there's no second guessing. We'll just give you all up straight what you got to do.
Yep. The other thing is, I have created that guide. I don't know, there's a lot of people have downloaded it. If someone wants a copy of it, just hit me up. You can get me on email or phone, Facebook, whatever works.
It's a brilliant guide. Brilliant.
Yeah,
it's got everything in there. Yeah.
It's really about making sure that if you're going to sell your home, you're thinking of everything. And, you know, it's great because I find that my clients now are like, oh, we did this because we read your guide, and it's I guess it just we sort of assume that everyone knows those little tricks and things that make a difference, but this is something that we do all the time. So but if anyone has any questions, just give us a call. We've got some good properties coming on though, haven't we? We've got some style properties. We've got a good one this week. I think it's going to go really well. So
it is, some very exciting properties. It's really cool. And no question's a stupid question. If you've got any questions, ask us. It doesn't, we assume sometimes that we know people, like you just said, people know what we know, but we realize that, it's, some people starting from the start have never sold a property before.
Yeah. Yep. True.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Great chat, dude.
Thanks, Shona.
No worries at all. So 11 o'clock next Tuesday. We'll
be here.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay.
See you guys.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.